Hello and welcome, everyone. We're so happy you're joining us to practice your English today. I'm Erika.
And I'm Marco. Thanks for investing your time in learning English with us. Our goal is to help you master real, natural English through everyday conversations.
That's right. We're dedicated to making your English learning journey enjoyable, practical, and clear. Today, we're tackling a really important topic. We're going to share 100 essential phrases for participating in a job meeting in English.
This is incredibly useful information. Whether you have an interview lined up, you're currently in an English-speaking workplace, or you simply want to enhance your professional communication, this lesson is designed for you.
Absolutely. Job meetings can be a source of anxiety, especially when you're communicating in a second language. But don't worry, we'll provide you with the precise phrases you need to feel confident and come across as a true professional.
And to make it even more effective, we'll have a natural conversation about meetings, so you can hear how these expressions are used in real-world situations.
If you find this lesson valuable, please show your support by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. It makes a huge difference and helps us continue creating content for you.
All right, are you ready to build your meeting confidence? Let's dive in. Hey, Erika, how's your day going?
I'm doing well, Marco, but I have to admit I'm feeling a bit drained. I had back-to-back video calls for work this morning.
3 calls? That sounds intense.
It was. My brain is a bit full, but they were productive sessions, so that's a win. How about you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great, actually. I took it easy. I watched a couple of movies and enjoyed a long walk on Sunday.
That does sound relaxing. What did you watch?
I chose an old comedy. I was in the mood for something light and funny. Oh, and I finally tidied up my desk. It was getting out of control.
Good for you. I need to do the same. My desk is covered in papers.
It's surprising how quickly the clutter builds up, isn't it? So, what did you get up to this weekend?
Well, a lot of my weekend was spent preparing for a major meeting today. It was a project review with my entire team.
A meeting on a Monday? That sounds pretty significant.
It was crucial, yes. But, it got me thinking. I noticed I tend to rely on the same set of phrases in almost every meeting. There are certain expressions that just work every time.
Really? That's a great observation.
Yes, and I thought this would be a perfect topic for our listeners. So many people need to participate in English meetings for their jobs.
That's very true. Speaking of which, I still remember my first ever work meeting in English. I was incredibly nervous and had no idea what to say.
See, that's exactly why this conversation is so important today.
I agree. Let's equip everyone with the tools they need to feel confident.
So, Marco, imagine you have a meeting at work tomorrow. What's the very first thing you need to figure out?
Probably the exact reason for the meeting. You need to understand its objective. Is it a simple team check-in, a project status update, a creative brainstorming session, or a one-on-one with your manager? Each one is a bit different.
Exactly. But despite the differences, there are common phrases that are useful in almost any meeting. For instance, when you first enter the meeting, what's a good way to greet everyone?
A simple good morning is always a good start.
Yes, basic greetings are fundamental. You can say good morning, everyone, good afternoon, team, or just a friendly hello, everyone. What if you're dialing in from home on a video call?
Good question. For online meetings, you could say, "Hi everyone, thanks for having me." Or if you're a few minutes behind, "Hello, sorry I'm a bit late."
Oh, I've been known to be late to meetings myself. Actually, more often than I'd like to admit. Marco, you should help me with that.
I know. But what's the polite thing to say if the discussion has already started?
You can say, sorry for being late, or a more formal option, my apologies for the delay. It's also nice to add, please continue.
That's very polite. So after the initial greetings, what typically happens next?
Usually, someone will officially kick things off. If you're in charge of the meeting, you need to start with a clear opening. How would you do that?
You could say, "Let's get started," or a bit more formally, "Shall we begin?" Then you'd state the objective. For example, today we're meeting to talk about the new marketing campaign, or the aim of this meeting is to evaluate our quarterly performance.
I really like "shall we begin." It has a nice professional ring to it.
It does. Now imagine you're in the meeting and someone is presenting an idea. You have something to contribute. What's the right approach? Just jump in?
No, that's not very considerate. You need to interject politely. But how do you do that without being rude? It sounds tricky.
It's not as hard as it seems. You can use phrases like, "Excuse me, could I add something here?" Or, "I apologize for interrupting, but I have a quick question." Or, "If I may, I'd like to offer a thought."
Oh, those are excellent. What's a polite way to respond if someone interrupts you?
You could say, "If you wouldn't mind letting me finish," or more diplomatically, "Could I just complete my thought?"
That's really useful. I've been in meetings where everyone is talking over each other and it's total chaos.
Exactly. That's why these polite phrases are so important. They help maintain order and respect.
Okay, let's talk about sharing your viewpoint. Suppose I have an idea in a meeting. How can I present it effectively?
You can start with phrases like, "in my view," "I believe that," or "from where I stand." These clearly signal that you're offering your personal perspective.
Is there a big difference between them?
They're quite similar. "In my view" and "from where I stand" can sound a little more formal. "I think" is probably the most common and is perfectly professional.
Got it. And what if I want to be a bit more cautious, not wanting to sound too assertive?
Then you can use softer language like, "it seems to me that," or "I get the impression that." These are less direct.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. Instead of blurting out, "this plan won't work," you could say, "it seems to me that this plan might face some logistical hurdles."
Oh, that's much more tactful.
Exactly. Politeness and diplomacy are key in professional settings. You never want to offend a colleague, right? So what do you say if you're on board with someone's idea?
You can say, "I completely agree," or "that's an excellent point," or simply, "I think so too." They're straightforward and positive.
Yes. You could also say, "I couldn't agree more," to show strong support. I like that one. Now the tougher part. What's the best way to express disagreement?
That's definitely more of an art form. You can't just say, "that's wrong." So what should you say instead?
A good technique is to acknowledge their point before presenting your own. For instance, "I understand your reasoning, but I have a slightly different take on it." Or, "That's a valid point. However, have we considered..."
So you validate their input first, then introduce your own perspective.
Precisely. That's the secret. You show respect for their idea before you offer an alternative.
What if I simply don't follow what someone is saying?
Then you should definitely ask for more explanation. You can say, "Could you walk me through that again?" Or, "I'm not entirely sure I follow. Could you elaborate?" Or, "What exactly do you mean by that?"
Is it acceptable to admit you don't understand?
Absolutely. It's far better to ask for clarification than to remain confused and risk a mistake. You can also say, "Sorry, could you repeat that last part?" Or, "Would it be possible to give an example?"
That's reassuring to know. I sometimes feel a bit embarrassed to ask.
Please don't be. Asking thoughtful questions demonstrates that you're engaged and eager to understand fully.
Okay, so now I'm following the discussion perfectly. What if I want to put forward a suggestion?
You can use phrases like, "I propose that we," or "What if we tried?" or "How about we..." For instance, "I propose that we postpone the launch," or "How about we schedule a follow-up call?"
And if it's more of a casual idea, not a formal proposal?
Then you could use more tentative language, like, "Perhaps we could," or one option might be to, "This sounds more like you're opening a discussion, not making a demand."
Tentative. That means you're suggesting something, but are open to other possibilities, right?
Exactly. Saying, "Perhaps we could meet on Friday," is a tentative suggestion.
All right. Now imagine someone turns to you and asks directly, "Marco, what's your opinion on this?"
I might start with, "Well, from my perspective," and then share my thoughts. That's a solid way to respond.
Good. You could also say, "That's a great question. I think." Or, let me think about that for a moment. I believe.
What if I genuinely don't have a formed opinion yet, or I need more details?
You can be honest and say, I'm not entirely sure at this point. I'd like to give it some more thought. Or, I don't have all the information I need to form an opinion yet.
That's a very honest and professional response.
Yes, honesty is valued in meetings. It's much better than pretending to know something you don't.
True. So we've covered a lot: opinions, suggestions, agreement, and disagreement. But what about drawing others into the conversation?
Great point. You can ask, what are your thoughts on this? Or, does anyone have any input? Or, how do you feel about this proposal?
Can I direct it to a specific person?
Certainly. You'd say, David, we'd love to hear your perspective. Or, Maria, do you have any feedback on this?
Input and feedback, those are basically another way of saying opinions and thoughts, right?
Yes, they refer to the contributions and ideas people bring to the discussion.
Okay, I understand. Now, what happens if the conversation starts to drift and people are discussing unrelated topics?
Ah, that's a common challenge. Someone needs to steer the conversation back on course. How would you handle that?
You could say, let's try to get back to the main subject. Or, can we refocus on the original agenda? Or, that's an interesting tangent, but perhaps we should return to the main discussion point.
And just to clarify, the agenda is the planned list of topics for the meeting.
Right, exactly. So if I'm running a meeting, I should always have a clear agenda prepared.
Definitely. At the beginning, you can say, here's the agenda for today, and then outline the points. It helps everyone stay on track.
That makes sense. Now, let's move on to presenting information. In meetings, people often need to share reports or data. How do you introduce that?
You could say, I'd like to present some findings on, or let me bring you up to speed on, or I have some data I'd like to share.
And if you're using a presentation or a screen?
Then you might say, as you can see from this slide, or this graph illustrates that, or if you look at this chart.
And to transition to the next topic?
You can use phrases like, moving on to the next item, or now let's discuss, or the next point I'd like to cover is.
These are very helpful. What about at the end when you need to wrap things up?
Summarizing is a critical step. You can start with, to summarize, or in conclusion, or let me quickly recap the key points we've covered.
Recap means to go over the main points again, correct?
Yes, exactly. It's a concise review.
And before officially ending, how do you make sure everyone is in agreement?
You can ask, is everyone in agreement? Or, are we all aligned on this? Or, does this decision work for everyone?
On the same page and aligned. These are great expressions for showing unity. So we're ready to finish? How do you close a meeting professionally?
You can say, I believe that covers everything, or that's all for today's meeting, or thank you all for your valuable time and contributions.
And if another meeting is needed?
You'd say, let's arrange a follow-up meeting, or shall we schedule another session next week to continue this discussion?
So a follow-up meeting is a subsequent meeting to check progress.
Precisely. And finally, you say your goodbyes.
Right. You can say, thanks everyone, or have a wonderful rest of your day, or I look forward to our next meeting.
That's a lot of phrases, Marco.
I know, but don't feel overwhelmed. The more you hear and practice them, the more natural they'll become.
Let's touch on some tricky scenarios. What if one person is dominating the entire conversation?
That can be tough. You could politely interject by saying, thank you for that valuable input. I'm curious to hear what others think. Or, that's an interesting angle. Let's open it up to the rest of the group for their views.
That's a very diplomatic way to handle it. Diplomatic means handling it with sensitivity and tact. And what if you need to leave early?
It's best to mention it at the very start. You could say, I just want to let everyone know that I'll need to leave at 4 p.m. for another appointment. Or, I apologize in advance, but I have to step out at 3:30.
And as you're leaving?
A simple, sorry, I have to run now. Thanks for the productive discussion. Or, my apologies, but I need to head to my next meeting. Great work, everyone.
Polite and clear. Now, what about note-taking?
If you're noting something important, you can say, let me just write that down. Or, I'll make a note of that.
And if you're given a task or an action item to complete after the meeting?
It's smart to confirm your understanding. You can say, just to confirm you'd like me to, or, so I'll take responsibility for that. This shows you're clear on your duties.
Exactly. Reviewing action items, the tasks people need to do, is a great way to end a meeting. You can say, let's quickly go over who is responsible for what.
It prevents any confusion or forgotten tasks later on.
For sure. How would you ask for feedback on something you've proposed?
You could ask, I'd appreciate your thoughts on this idea, or I'm open to any feedback on this approach, or does this proposal make sense to everyone?
And if you want to praise a colleague's idea,
You can say, that's a brilliant suggestion, or I really like where you're going with that, or what a creative solution.
these are all professional yet friendly. That's the sweet spot. Being professional doesn't mean being cold.
I'm feeling much more confident about my next meeting already.
Good. Just remember the core principles. Be polite, be clear, and be respectful.
You know, Erika, throughout our conversation, we've naturally used a lot of key vocabulary. Let's highlight some of the most important words so our listeners can truly grasp them.
Great idea. Breaking them down will really help.
Absolutely. First word, purpose. This simply means the reason for something, the objective. When we ask, what's the purpose of this meeting? We're asking, why are we here?
Exactly. For example, the purpose of our gathering is to finalize the budget. Or, my purpose in contacting you is to get your advice.
I use that word all the time. Another example, what's the purpose of this exercise at the gym?
Good one. So, Marco, what's your purpose for learning English?
My purpose is to connect more easily with people from all over the world. Perfect.
Next word, interrupt. This means to stop someone while they're speaking or doing something, right?
Yes, like when someone is talking and you begin speaking at the same time. For instance, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have an urgent message. Or, please try not to interrupt while I'm explaining.
Even my phone interrupts me with notifications during important work.
That's a perfect example. You can interrupt a person, or something can interrupt an activity. The opposite would be to let someone finish or continue.
Third word, perspective. This is your particular way of viewing a situation, your point of view. So, from my perspective means the way I see it.
Exactly. For example, from a financial perspective, this is a sound investment. Or, let's look at the problem from the customer's perspective.
My perspective on meetings has definitely evolved after this talk. I used to find them tedious, but now I see their value.
That's great, Erika. Your perspective has shifted. Can you also use it for a physical view, like from a mountain?
You can, though angle or vantage point is more common for physical views. Perspective is primarily for opinions and mental frameworks.
Got it. Fourth word, clarification. This is the act of making something clear or understandable. So when I ask, could you clarify that? I'm asking, could you explain that more simply?
Exactly. For example, I need some clarification on the budget, or let me clarify my previous statement.
This is so important because people often use jargon, and I need clarification.
It's perfectly normal. The verb is clarify, and the noun is clarification. Can you clarify versus I need clarification?
Perfect. Fifth word, tentative. This means not final, uncertain, or hesitant. You explained this earlier. It's when you're not 100% sure.
Yes. For instance, we have a tentative agreement subject to contract, meaning it could change. Or I have a tentative plan for the weekend, but nothing is set in stone.
So, what's your tentative plan for dinner tonight, Erika?
Well, I'm tentatively planning to cook, but I might just order a pizza if I'm too tired.
See? You're using it perfectly naturally. Sixth word, agenda. This is the list of items or topics to be discussed in a meeting. It's the roadmap for the meeting.
Right. For example, let's stick to the agenda. Or this point isn't on today's agenda.
So, before I organize a meeting, I should create an agenda first.
Absolutely. And it's a good practice to share it with participants in advance. For example, I'll circulate the agenda via email.
Does agenda only apply to meetings?
It's most common for meetings, but you can also use it for conferences or events. Like the conference agenda is packed with interesting speakers.
Seventh word, input. This means the ideas, opinions, or information you contribute. So when someone asks for my input, they want my feedback.
Precisely. For example, we really value your input on this project. Or, do you have any input on the new design? Saying, thank you for your input is a great way to acknowledge someone's contribution.
What kind of input do you usually give in meetings, Erika?
I typically provide input on marketing strategies and content ideas. That's my specialty.
Perfect. 8th word, recap. This is a short summary or a review of the main points. It's short for recapitulation.
Yes. For example, let me give you a quick recap of our discussion. Or can someone provide a recap of the last meeting?
Recap is much easier and more common than recapitulation. At the end of meetings, someone usually recaps the action items.
Exactly. 9th word, diplomatic. This means being tactful, polite, and skillful in handling people, especially in sensitive situations. A diplomatic person knows how to navigate difficult conversations without causing offense.
For example, she offered some diplomatic feedback, meaning she was honest but kind. Or, that was a very diplomatic way to handle that disagreement.
Being diplomatic is crucial in a professional environment. What's a diplomatic way to tell someone their timeline is unrealistic?
You could say, I appreciate the ambition of this timeline. I'm just a little concerned about the resources we have available to meet it, instead of, that timeline is impossible.
Excellent, Marco. That's very diplomatic.
10th word, follow-up. This can be a noun or a verb. It means to continue an interaction or to check on progress. For instance, let's have a follow-up meeting, noun, means a second meeting. Or, I'll follow up with you next week, verb, means I'll contact you again.
Can you follow up on that email means can you check for a response? This is extremely common in the workplace.
Yes, it's essential professional vocabulary. Let's do a quick recap of these 10 keywords.
1. Purpose, reason or goal.
2. Interrupt, to stop someone while they're speaking.
3. Perspective, point of view.
4. Clarification, making something clear.
5. Tentative, not certain, provisional.
6. Agenda, meeting planned or list of topics.
7. Input, contribution or ideas.
8. Recap, a summary or review.
9. Diplomatic, tactful and polite.
10. Follow-up, to continue or check progress.
Those are all incredibly useful for meetings and professional life in general.
We've covered a lot of ground today, Erika.
We certainly have, but meetings are a central part of work, so there's a lot to explore.
It feels like we've covered 100 phrases. Oh, wait, that's the goal.
Exactly. Let's recap the journey of a meeting. First, starting a meeting. We have greetings like good morning team or hello everyone. If you're leading, you say let's begin or shall we get started, and then state the purpose. We're here today to discuss.
And if you're late, you apologize. Sorry for my lateness, or my apologies for being late.
Good. Then participating. To interrupt politely, excuse me, may I add a point? Or sorry to interrupt, but to share your view, in my opinion, I believe, or from my perspective.
We also covered agreeing. I agree. Great point. And disagreeing politely. I see what you're saying, but, or, that's one way to look at it. However.
Excellent memory. Then we discussed asking questions and clarifying. Could you repeat that? Or, I'm not sure I understand. Could you clarify? It's always okay to ask.
And making suggestions. I suggest that we, or how about we, for softer ideas, maybe we could, or what if we?
We also talked about asking for others' opinions. What are your thoughts? Or any input on this? And getting the conversation back on track. Let's refocus on the main topic. Or can we stick to the agenda?
Then there's presenting information. I'd like to update you on, and transitioning. Moving on to our next point.
Finally, wrapping up. You summarize, to recap, or in summary. You confirm agreement. Are we all in agreement? Or are we aligned on this? And you close. Thanks for your time, everyone. Or I look forward to our next steps.
And don't forget confirming action items and scheduling follow-ups.
Absolutely. The key is to be polite, clear, and respectful. Meetings don't have to be intimidating. With these phrases, you can communicate with confidence and professionalism.
I believe anyone can master this with a bit of practice. Start with a few key phrases and gradually add more as you feel comfortable.
Now we'd love to hear from you. This is always our favorite part.
Yes, we genuinely enjoy reading your comments and learning from your experiences. So here's our question of the day. What is the most challenging part of attending meetings in English for you? And do you have any tips for fellow learners?
For me personally, the hardest part is when people speak very quickly. I sometimes struggle to keep up and hesitate to ask them to slow down.
That's a very common challenge, Erika. For me, it's disagreeing politely. I'm always so careful with my words because I don't want to sound disrespectful.
See, we all have different hurdles, and that's perfectly okay. Everyone's learning journey is unique.
Exactly. So listeners, we want to know about you. Is it understanding different accents? Finding the right words fast enough? Speaking up when you have an idea? Or something else entirely?
And if you have any strategies that work for you, please share them. Maybe you prepare a few phrases before a meeting, or you keep a small notebook with key vocabulary, or you ask a trusted colleague for help. Your tips could be a game changer for someone else.
Please tell us in the comments. You could start with, the most challenging part for me is, and then add your tip. For example, the most challenging part for me is understanding fast speakers. My tip is to politely ask them to repeat themselves.
Or, the most challenging part for me is remembering vocabulary. My tip is to make a short list of phrases before the meeting and keep it nearby.
Yes, exactly. Your comments not only help us create better content, but also give you a great opportunity to practice writing in English. So please, don't be shy. We read every comment and truly appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much for watching this lesson today. We hope you now have a toolbox of useful phrases for your next meeting. If you found this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel grow.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a new video. We upload new lessons regularly to support you on your English journey.
You are all doing an amazing job by dedicating time to learning English. It requires time and effort, but you are making progress every single day. Keep practicing.
Remember, true confidence comes from consistent practice, not from being perfect. Don't wait until your English is flawless to speak up in meetings. Use the phrases you know, and you will improve with each experience.
Exactly. Try using some of these phrases in your very next meeting and notice how much more confident you feel. Have a fantastic day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world.
Keep learning, keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Goodbye for now.